Mr. Producer. We got all them. Oh, I gotta make sure. I gotta start throwing up your socials. I gotta do that. I'm gonna make a note of that right now. They need to see the fucking specimen that you've become.
Yeah, peep the story.
Yeah, peep the story and check out the fucking absolute freak that you've become. So I'm taking note of this right now. Note takers are money makers.
We live.
Yeah, we're live.
Nice.
I've already. Guys, hopefully you guys don't live in Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. After what happened last night. The only ones there, I guess you and me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So, yeah. Jake's in the chat. He knows what I'm talking about. So what am I putting here? I'm going to put your socials on live stream. I'm taking the notes, ladies and gentlemen, then we're going to get right into it. And then Kick streaming. Kick, you guys got to work out something with Streamlabs because I don't know what's going on over here. I'm trying to go live to the Kick community so we can become the largest streamers on Kick, which will only take us a few months. And it couldn't configure the stream, so I had to turn off Kick, go back to Twitch, which I'm sure Kick hates that. Don't make us blow up on Twitch. We'll take over Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat, anytime we go live, if you guys watch Kai Cenat streams, he goes from 500,000 viewers to about 200,000 quickly. All of them flood over to the properly paid stream. But
Viewership gets decimated.
He's like, what happened? What? He loses half of his viewers from 500,000 to 250,000. He's wondering where everybody
PP
went.
boys went live.
Yeah, it was the big PP. They went live.
The PP boys.
All right. So, all right, Harry. Well, last night, that was it. The first black swan of the cycle, right? COVID happened in 2020. The last black swan event in the crypto universe, and then FTX as well before up only 2021 bull run. We finally got our black swan. It was the Dumpino Trade Wars, right? We thought it was Pumpino, and then Dumpino came in, blasted tariffs on bum dough, and then whoever the lady is from Mexico, which already was a bad decision by Mexico. I'm not sure what they were doing there. But then they blasted tariffs on Mexico and Canada, and obviously that means that the market is uncertain in terms of what's going to happen and what's going to happen to the economy. So whenever you get uncertainty, especially in highly volatile risk-on assets like crypto and our precious altcoins, we saw an absolutely outrageous liquidation event last night that wicked Ethereum down to $2,100, over 1,000 points yesterday. And then obviously in turn nuked the entire altcoin market with it. While Bitcoin survived, the only asset that didn't absolutely fall off a cliff or jump off a cliff, which also in turn we're going to take a look at the charts and why we know that means, well, the cycle's not over because Bitcoin hasn't fallen over, but altcoins got obliterated. So, yeah, Harry, what are you thinking? What are you seeing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we were talking about it leading up to the inauguration, saying that, a lot of people were de-risking, a lot of people were uncertain just because we felt like there could be a black swan event leading into the inauguration. So I felt like I was expecting an event like this to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen when it did. I kind of thought once the inauguration was through, Trump was in office, we were kind of going to be in the clear. But yesterday off stream, we were talking and Ethereum just kept pressing down, pressing down, pressing down. It looked like a very manipulated bleed to the downside. And once Ethereum got down to around the 2,800 level, I was telling you that the last time Ethereum had come down into that price range was back on August 5th. And on August 5th, for anyone that was in the markets that day, Ethereum did the exact same thing, extremely volatile wick down from like the 2,800-ish price range all the way down to pretty much the same exact level we went to last night, right around 2,100.
Mm-hmm.
So, it dropped down 700 points in the matter of an hour or two. And I was telling Priamo yesterday, whenever we got to that level, I was a little bit concerned because I'm like, man, the last time we came down to this point was not good. Um, Personally, I didn't ever expect that we could wick down that far yesterday. I don't think anybody could have foreseen that. Obviously, if we could have, we probably would have moved a little bit different than we did. But yeah, I mean, there's been a good recovery so far this morning. Trump put out a picture or a screen capture, I guess, of a message that was typed up saying that he spoke with whatever her name is, Claudia Scheinbaum,
Shine bum, yeah. Shiny bum.
from the president of Mexico, saying the tariffs are going to be delayed for a month. The Mexico sending 10,000 troops up to the border to help support, to stop or slow down the crossing of fentanyl across the border, stop people from coming in illegally, and then they're going to delay the tariffs for a month. So I'd say as far as the risk curve goes, hopefully at least for the next few weeks, people are going to be coming back down the risk curve. I think Ethereum's back at like 2720, 2730. So it's recovered, about 600 points
Mm-hmm.
since the wick down last night, which is definitely a good sign. I think Bitcoin's back trading around 98, 99,000. So we're just under 100K, which is good. But I know you said you're not so sure about how well this recovery is going to hold and if
Mm-hmm.
it's going to keep moving like this or if it's just kind of a buyback from the liquidations and we could just roll over again. So I know we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and it's crazy how quickly things can shift because you see how Mexico folds, Canada's going to end up folding. Because I mean, regardless of what people think of the tariffs politically, right? We're just here to talk about in the sense how it's going to affect markets. Objectively, Canada and Mexico can't do anything about it. They're not as large of an economy as the United States. What the United States exports to those countries in comparison to what those countries import to, or what we import from those countries, is not even in the same realm. So they're obviously going to be impacted by the tariffs way more than the U.S. would be. Bang, Mexico already caved. Bum dough, and Canada's going to do the same thing. So I imagine it's going to resolve relatively quickly. The problem is if it doesn't resolve relatively quickly, then yeah, we're just going to end up continuing to roll over and creating a new range down below from where Ethereum is trading at right now, which is not going to be fun for a coin. So that's why I said in our private chat, some of the positioning that we're going to do in the case of that were to happen and how we're going to play it so that whenever things do draw down lower, if they do, we can go ahead and redeploy more capital into the market at those lower prices. So the move that we have to the upside this morning is really interesting because crypto yesterday got annihilated, being that it's the only market that's traded 24/7. So any expression of fear and de-risking that the market wanted to make only could have happened in crypto because it's the only thing that was trading at the time. So on an institutional level, people were de-risking on crypto and they weren't able to in financial markets. So this morning, before the New York Open, I had de-risked, assuming that equities would open and gap down as well, the same way that we had done with COVID, the COVID Black Swan event. Here's what's interesting. We didn't do that on equities, which is odd in the sense that two things could have happened. Number one, equities is lagging crypto, and we're probably going to see that puke tomorrow or Wednesday. Why that is, who knows? I'm not sure. Two, it could have been an overreaction, and crypto took the blunt of that de-risking, being that it was the only market that was open. And this week we see things stabilize. The trade war kind of subsides. Mexico capitulates, which they've essentially already done. And then Bum Dough in Canada capitulates as well. And if he's able to get this trade war resolved this week, then I believe then we're back. We resume and we continue to move up only. So we'll see. Now the bounce today in crypto is it's due to liquidations. So whenever you guys see a waterfall like that on something like Ethereum, we'll pull up the charts to show it. But you see a waterfall event like that is because you get so many liquidations on leverage and open interest that basically it creates a cascade effect. So as more longs become liquidated, it triggers market sells. So whenever you long a position, you market buy on that long position. And when you get liquidated, it triggers a market sell. So it sells your position, you lose your money. So what happens on these massive liquidation events is the reason they cascade so hard is as it keeps going lower and lower, more and more millions of dollars of long positions get liquidated, continuing to trigger more market sells, which continues to nuke the price down lower. And it's just a cascade. It just keeps boom, 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 to the point where you get this massive wick down to $2,100, where you finally get that rebalancing of open interest. And you start to bounce back up to the upside, which could be caused by short positions getting closed now. So it just kind of does the same thing to the upside before it inevitably rolls back over, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm not super confident that we're just going to start cooking again this week. Let's see what happens over the next day or two if we continue to bleed back down, or if we actually maintain this kind of pump that we're having. So we'll see. So let me share my screen. Yeah, go ahead.
I think something to keep in mind too with equities is last week with the whole DeepSeek thing. I think we've seen that NVIDIA has a pretty
deep fake.
Major deep. Yeah, yeah. I think we've seen that NVIDIA has a pretty good influence over the entire TradFi market. So kind of, NVIDIA, whatever it's doing to some effect is going to have, a pretty big impact on what equities are doing across the market in whole. Mm-hmm. So the huge puke on NVIDIA last week that we saw after the whole DeepSeek whatever bullshit that happened, a lot of equities are already down, 10, 15, 20% from the beginning of January, whenever they were getting up towards highs. So I was looking at equities a little bit this morning. I think NVIDIA is down like 3% on the day. Apple's down like 4.5% on the day. So they are definitely feeling it a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what it's showing.
It's green now.
Yeah, I think in the last, like since let me look at it, because I was just on Yahoo this morning. Yeah, so it's saying that since market open today, NVIDIA is down 2.8%.
The hell Yahoo talking about?
Because it's showing the same price. Yeah, who knows? Bullshit. But
no, you're right. Minus 2.86%.
Yeah, so they are down a little bit. I think Apple is down like 4.5%. But obviously, like if you're looking at this chart here, since the beginning of 2025, when we had the yearly open, NVIDIA is down what, 40, 50 points since the beginning of the year.
January.
Almost 40 points.
Yeah, we opened.
Like the first week of January 3rd, January 4th.
Oh yeah, cooked.
From the highs.
And then from the highs, 26%. Yeah.
Yeah. So on something like NVIDIA, that's a massive move. Especially when this thing's just been operating like the S&P 500 and it's just been pretty much up only for forever. To get a move like that's pretty significant. So I think that a lot of the move to the downside was already kind of priced in on these markets, just from what's been happening in the last couple of weeks, especially with this chart specifically. So
it's a good point.
We're going to see what happens, but I think Bitcoin holding firm over the past 24 hours is really important too, because I think people are seeing Bitcoin, especially with all the countries that are adopting it as their national currency and are building Bitcoin reserves and all this other bullish news that's coming out on Bitcoin. I think it's interesting because it's showing that a lot of people, whenever they're de-risking in crypto, rather than feeling the need to fully rotate into stable coins and just go completely risk off, people feel confident enough to either continue to hold Bitcoin through times of a lot of uncertainty, or whenever they're rolling up the risk curve, they're not going all the way to stable coins. They're comfortable holding Bitcoin, knowing that it's going to be able to hold its own value and not be a piece of shit like ETH. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really good news for crypto in general.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing that I was taking a look at yesterday was until we lost this range on Bitcoin, I knew it wasn't over. We were just getting slaughtered on altcoins. And so if you take a look at the liquidation event that happened yesterday, BTC didn't even come down lower than this wick right here. It didn't even take out this low. So in January 13th, whenever BTC wicked down to 89,000, 89.3, it wasn't over here. We didn't think it was over. We knew it was going to come back into this range. This was just a liquidation here, liquidation wick. And then you get this move all the way back to the upside on the inauguration. And then we come back down. We get the monthly open, the February monthly open. And as soon as we got the monthly open, which I expected the move to the downside, I was literally talking to the guys inside the Taylor's Code saying, I'm expecting this to happen. We always get this downside move on the monthly opens. Okay, set the bear trap. Then we should be moving up after that first week. We get the nuke off the monthly open. The problem was is then it got it happened, and then on top of that, the uncertainty with the trade wars happened, and then we get this extra pronounced move to the downside. And so Bitcoin, it doesn't even come back down lower than this. We're still in the range. It's still here. It's fine. It didn't break down, and then we all the way back up to 98.6 right now. We already retested the mid range. So look how perfectly it's playing. So just came right back up to the mid range, rejected. Probably play around down in here a little bit between the 2025 yearly open and the mid range. Probably play around in here a little bit before we get some certainty and obviously decide our next move up or down. But yeah, I see this and Bitcoin looks fine. It's not a scenario. So I'm not positioning in a scenario where I believe we're going to go into a bear market and the cycle pretty much topped out. We're going to start rolling over on Bitcoin. No, we basically just had a mid-cycle correction on altcoins, had this big liquidation event on these alts, but Bitcoin's still standing strong, right? Bitcoin trading down in here, Bitcoin trading here, trading here. At no point was it ever over here, so why would it be over here? We never lost our support. We never lost the market structure. It's still here. It's fine. So what I imagine is going to happen is Bitcoin's going to obviously continue to range for a little bit before we get some more clarity in the markets. And in the meantime, altcoins are kind of going to chill out or try to find their bottoms here over the next week or two before Bitcoin starts to show that it's ready for its next leg up, which we talked about on last stream should be around 130,000. We'll get our next fib confluence. But yeah, if you look at the RSI on Bitcoin as well, I mean, we came down, we retested these lows on the RSI. We had one right here. We had one right here and down over here. We haven't really come back down below that since the August and September nukes. So we got this nice bounce on Bitcoin. So I don't imagine it's going to come down much lower than this. It looks fine. It looks pretty much okay. We're in the range still. We're fine. We're good. So Bitcoin's fine. Here's our problem. There's our issue. This is our issue right here. Altcoins is what got smoked. So I had this range drawn that we were taking a look at on looking on Ethereum for the past couple months. And then we broke out of this. So here's the issue, right? So we're in this nice range over here where you could draw it like this. I mean, I had it drawn. Not sure why I drew it like that, but something to this degree, right? So we have this range on Ethereum. We're playing in here, right? And then we get this nuke out of the range. Well, as soon as we broke that market structure, unlike we did on Bitcoin, which held the range, Ethereum broke the range, and then you got this massive puke yesterday with this insane wick down to 2,100. Now, take a look. There's a reason that it liquidated all the way down there, because here was the previous low on Ethereum. Okay, so open interest, longs that were opened on Ethereum down here. The reason this cascade kind of stopped right here is because it took out this final low and it pretty much liquidated any longs that were still open in the market. Everything got fucking smoked. Okay, so you get this low wick down, it cascades down this low, or it sweeps this low, and then we start pumping all the way back up because all the leverage is closed now. So what happened was we had this August 5th nuke last year, which on August 5th last year, that's whenever Andy was down to about 60 million market cap. Wolf traded all the way down to about $15 million market cap. And those of you who weren't around, we were accumulating more of the boys club all in this range, right when it was fucking premier prices. And this was what happened. Same thing. Boys club was up at a couple hundred M each last May in summertime. Gets nuked all the way down to about 15 mil on Wolf, 60 mil on Andy. They get cooked down here on this nuke. Creates this new reaccumulation range before we took that next leg higher. ETH came back down into this reaccumulation range. Okay. So it wicked down in there. So here's what I think is going to happen, right? So this is why I had this already pre-drawn out to show you guys. So here's what I think happens. So on this August 5th nuke, the RSI was super overextended. You can see it in the red down there, showing that it was super oversold. Came out of this purple range on the RSI. We didn't get that on this nuke down, which is crazy, even though it came all the way down to like $2,100. We never actually got into this red zone. So what I think is going to happen is, unless somehow ETH turns around and pumps all the way back up into this range that we had created over the last 2 months, there's nowhere for ETH to go other than back in this reaccumulation range. So what I imagine is going to happen is, unless we, like I said, start pumping hard, ETH is going to drift back down in here and start doing one of these again before eventually we start pumping again. So if we start to play this move out again, this range, obviously ETH is going to come lower and our altcoins are going to come a little bit lower as well. Now, the altcoins are pretty much as bottom as they could be, but you know, another 5-10% potentially if we get all the way back to the bottom of this range. As you see this wick down here, this was just in last August, September. So that's what I think is going to happen. Okay. Could we get a reversal and we kind of just bounce off the top of this range and do something like this and reclaim this range? It's possible. It is possible, but Bitcoin's going to start ripping face. Like, Bitcoin's going to start going. So unless Bitcoin starts going, there's nowhere for ETH to go, because this is no man's land in here. There's no market structure here all the way in this big, hold on, get the fuck out of here. Like, this whole space right here is no man's land. There's no market structure. It's either, you're either trading down in here or you're trading up in here. There's no in between. So we got to decide. We're either coming down here or we're going back up in there, but it's got to go one way or the other ASAP. So I don't know what you think, Harry. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's impossible to say at this point. It's like, if ETH was a couple hundred points lower, like if it bounced back to 2,500, we'd be able to say pretty decisively that we're definitely going to range in that bottom range for the next at least couple weeks, until Bitcoin, like you said, starts to show strength and can dig us out of it. Or if ETH would have bounced back to 3,000 and we were back above 3,000 right now, we can say pretty certainly that we're going to get back up into the old range, trend back up into like 31, 3,200. And then over the next couple weeks, you know, send hard like we were expecting to after the first week of February. But honestly, I feel like it recovered just enough to where there's a lot of uncertainty. And with the uncertainty that's in the markets right now in general, with the trade wars and everything, whatever, all this bullshit that's going on, it's just super tough to call it. So yeah, I mean, if people are going a little bit risk off, you know, the next week or so to get a little bit more clarity on what's going to happen, I can definitely respect it. You know, if people that are holding primarily altcoins are just going to hodl and just kind of see what happens, which is what I'm doing personally. Mm-hmm. You know, I respect that play too, because yeah, I mean, over the next couple of days, we were expecting that after this monthly open, which is, you know, just happened this morning at 9 a.m. Mondays are always a little bit murky. I mean, we typically fade the Monday open. It's just never really, but after what happened over the weekend, it's impossible. This is not a typical Monday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think tomorrow is really going to be the telltale, tomorrow and then through the rest of this week, of what we're going to do. I know what I would like to see which would be the second option that you went over.
Right.
Um, Kind of hold this line here.
Right. Start doing it like
Um,
this.
yeah, I mean, it'd be beautiful to hold this line here. Bitcoin, can reclaim 100,000 and then start pressing back up towards like 104, 105 through the rest of this week. That'd be beautiful. But yeah, we're just going to have to see if this was kind of a false hope reclaim. And it was just, all the shorts getting liquidated on this way back up if we roll over again, or, maybe we're good. Maybe we're going to start trending back up. So we'll have a little bit more clarity by Friday this week, I think.
Yeah. I agree. Tomorrow it'll be a telltale sign because yeah, typically you fade the Monday open. Monday open, we actually ended up moving up as opposed to down. So tomorrow I wouldn't be surprised if we get more downside. But that's why it's so odd, but at the same time not concerning is this is what Bitcoin looks like. It's fine. Bitcoin literally fucking big dogged this whole event. They did not let Bitcoin lose this range, which is important to understand because the only way to keep this range the way that we did is buyers stepped in. Bidders stepped in and held the range, understanding what the consequences would be if Bitcoin lost that range. If Bitcoin broke market structure here and lost that range last night, we would have seen a much more aggressive move to the downside on Bitcoin, way down into the 80 and 70,000s. Altcoins would have been absolutely annihilated. Bear market inbound. It's definitely cooked. It's cooked for sure. For sure. But what's so important is it didn't. It's literally the same range. It held. It did exactly what we expected it to do. So what you saw yesterday was just a de-risking event, a de-risking of altcoins due to the uncertainty, but cycle's not over because the range held on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still fine. So people look at a Bitcoin chart, heavy investors, institutional money, they look at Bitcoin, they don't say, all right, this thing's fucking cooked. No, it's still in the range. Good prices right now. So yeah, so cycle's not done, in my opinion. It's just, okay, the only question there is to ask is how much more downside do we see if we get it? If there is any at all. And the reason we ask that question is because then we want to know when do we start bidding again. Because it's going to be a bid war on these altcoins. Because what you're going to see is as long as Bitcoin starts moving up again and the cycle continues as we expect it to, the mean reversion on these altcoins is going to be disgusting, the snapback that we get on them. Because as soon as people reallocate all that capital into these altcoins, you're going to see such an aggressive snapback in price, where if you're reaccumulating at these lows, you're going to see your portfolio pump way harder on the way back up this time because you're going to have way more assets. So it just comes down to when are we bidding, right? When's the time to bid again? So we'll see. All right. So
yeah, and I mean, I think that Bitcoin too is pretty much gonna, like, what it does here this week. I think there's two options because I don't think we're gonna lose the range. I mean, I said that on ETH last week, and that was obviously completely fucking wrong. But I think for Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, I think if it was able to hold the range through what happened last night, even if there is, a rollover here, we start trending back down again. I think that Bitcoin's proven its strength right now, and it's not going to lose this range. It doesn't matter what the fuck happens. But yeah, I mean, I think Bitcoin's pretty much going to determine where we go the rest of February. Because I think there's two options here. It's either we're going to keep bouncing off the mid range and getting rejected, and Bitcoin's just going to trend between 90 and 100 for the next couple weeks, and that's just going to be what it is. Or tomorrow, Bitcoin breaks through the mid range, gets back above 100,000, and starts trending back up towards the top of the range at like 107, 108.
Right.
So I think if Bitcoin can snap through the mid range in the next 24 to 48 hours, get back above 100,000 and show that it has strength there and it's going to hold there, we're going to start trending back up on Ethereum too. But if Bitcoin just here over the next 24 to 48 hours, you guys see it just continue to bounce and get rejected at the mid range and trend back down, it's probably going to do that for another couple weeks. And ETH is going to get sent back down into the range that it's in right now. And that's just going to be what it is. And we'll try again in March.
Exactly. And yeah, just for context again for people watching, this is where we're at in the bear market. This is where Bitcoin started this cycle. We're all the way up here, right? It's not, I mean, just because we got some pullbacks right up in here doesn't mean that this cycle's cooked. There's more legs to come here because you don't do this 8-9 month reaccumulation range during the summertime and get one leg higher on the breakout from previous all-time highs, because this was the breakout from previous all-time highs from last cycle. You're not going to get one fucking leg. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, as long as Bitcoin stays here, we're good. So we'll continue to bid whenever the market gives us the green light to start bidding again. So yeah, 108. As soon as we break this right here, I mean, we're sending up to 130. Okay.
Whenever the August 5th puke happened last time, I mean, obviously Ethereum snapped back down to the same exact levels it was at last August 5th. Where was Bitcoin at on August 5th? I'm assuming it's that wick down.
Yeah, 49.6 thousand. Think about that. Bitcoin went from the high of 73,000 and it wicked down to $49,200. And it wasn't over. $74,000 all the way. It went down 33% in the course of March to August.
When you can even pull that over
From what?
From the left. It's like, where was it at in that midpoint? Almost the same exact level. Was it 72,000 in what, June?
Oh, yeah, right here.
Even over further to the right. Yeah, right there. It tapped it. Even 2 wicks over.
Yeah, right here. Boom. Yeah, so literally from June 3rd to August 5th, so 2 months, we went down 31.5%.
Yeah, and even is this the weekly?
This is the weekly. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, even the candle the week before, or I guess, okay, that's over there. But yeah, so I mean, it's like last time this happened, I mean, it just shows you the strength of Bitcoin relative to Ethereum.
Right.
Last time August 5th puke happened, ETH pulled back to the same exact levels it was at last August 5th. Bitcoin's double the price that it was the last time a puke like this happened.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. and that's what I'm saying is it's incredible the mean reversion that we're going to get on Ethereum when it finally comes. Because yeah, exactly what you said. Bitcoin is double the price it was while Ethereum's the same price it is right now as it was back on August 5th. So the catch-up trade on Ethereum is going to be massive. Once the market reprices Ethereum to its correct value in comparison to Bitcoin, basically ETH BTC pair, it's going to pump so hard. It's going to be outrageous. And that's why we're so positioned in ETH beta is, yeah, you get smoked on events like this, but that same reflexive move to the downside is what you're going to experience to the upside, and you're going to love it whenever you experience it to the upside. So you got to be able to stand both of them. It's not going to be up only all the time. But yeah, so you see this 32% correction on Bitcoin within 2 months, and now we're trading at over $100,000. You could have said, oh, it's over. No, dude, this nuke that we got on Bitcoin from here to here was only 14%. So half of the correction that we got during the summertime. And you know what I'm saying? It's not cooked. It's not done. So we're good. The gentlemen are bullish. We just got to understand. The only question to ask is, when do we start bidding again? We got to find out when do we start bidding again for this next leg. So anyways, unfortunate move on ETH, but it is what it is. Last one we got to check out, though, is the green frog. Okay? We got to check out the fucking green frog, Pepe. So what happened on Pepe? Do you think it'd be worthwhile to go over the confluence from last February? Did we go over that? Not the long setup.
You just mean what Pepe did last February compared to this year?
Yeah, I don't think we went over. Yeah, we wouldn't have, because we only did that for the private crypto plays. Okay, so I'll show that move that we put on Pepe from last year. So here's the daily on Pepe. Here's where we're at right now. Okay, So you see this massive wick. That's obviously what happened yesterday with Ethereum. And we're back in this kind of demand zone, this middle area right here. We're actually still higher than where we were at during that August nuke. Okay. So the August nuke was in here. Yeah, down in here. So it was down in this level. Okay. Which makes sense why we wicked into it. Okay. So if Pepe continues to draw down any further, I would expect it to bottom out right on top of this demand zone and start moving up from here. Okay, so we'll name this demand.
This is exactly why I'm just hodling right now. I'm like, how much lower can these altcoins really come?
Right, which that would be, well, it's not bad. It's 12%. That'll hurt a bit, but that would be the bottom, because that's the demand zone that we created from the last nuke down. So what we're going to see on something like Pepe is you're either going to see it continue to bleed down into here if Ethereum continues to come down. If not, then it makes sense that you were bottoming like somewhere in here. And these in this like demand zone right here. Even say something like that. Right? So you could see this start to curl back up too. But again, it's dependent on what Ethereum does. If Ethereum holds where it's at and we start to curl back up, then you're going to see Pepe have a super reflexive move as we had last February, which was over here, which we're going to go over. Okay. So here's what we did last year, 2024, on Pepe. We'll put them side by side. Okay. So we had planned a long setup for yesterday on Pepe because the price action up until that massive nuke down was playing out exactly the same as last February, which is outrageous how closely they were lined up. Okay. So February of 2024 was right before Pepe's huge 12x run up. Okay. So that would have been in here. Way down here. That's how small it was at the time.
I think this chart on the right's on the 2 hour.
Yeah, I want it to be on the lower time frame so they can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here it is right here. So we got this move on Pepe on an Ethereum the same exact way we got it last year, February. Okay. So I should have left the drawings on it. Did I? No. Okay, I didn't. Wrong ones. Okay. So FOMC meeting on 2024 happened on January 31st. I'll redraw this. Yep, right here. And so we got this bottom. Okay. We got this bottom on FOMC last year, 2024, February, on Pepe and Ethereum. So we de-risk out of FOMC. Same thing we did this year, okay? This year, let's move this down to the 2 hour as well, okay? We did something similar. So I believe it was on the 28th. Yes, it was. Right? So we did the same bottom pattern. Okay.
I was going to say, and just keep in mind with the difference in the date ranges, the FOMC meeting this year was 3 days earlier than last year. So you'll see it's a few more days in between the moves on this structure, but you know, relative to what happened, it's the same exact thing. The meeting was just 3 days earlier this year.
Yep, same exact thing. So here's what we were doing, positioning into this, right? So at the time, whenever I made this chart, all you could see is basically this, okay? So this was on Friday. I had made this chart. And so if you see on the right-hand side, this was Pepe in February in January of 2024 before it does a 12x and goes up only, up to the right. So we get this FOMC bottom, we curl up a little bit, and then we nuke on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We pump on the Monday open. We get one more little nuke, and then it's literally up only for a 12x on Pepe. Massive, massive move last year. Okay. If you look on the left-hand side, we effectively printed the same structure this year. So it looked like we were going to do the same exact thing. So you get this FOMC bottom, just like we have it marked out on the right-hand side. Now this time, instead of January 31st, it was January 28th. We move up, okay? We make this top, just like we did last time on this one right here, right? And then we nuke from Friday, Saturday, into Sunday. So when we got this wick down here, this move, it looked like this one right here. So I'll put a circle there. Looked like this one. So let's draw that again. Right, so this is all I could see at the time was this, right? So you see how you have, so just so you guys understand how we're looking at the similarities on something like this. It looked like this, right? So similar, right? You get this liquidation down, this big move to the downside here. This was the low here. I figured this could have been the low here. And it looked like what Pepe was going to do is just a repeat of this structure, right? It just put in this pump. This pump came after this move. This pump came first, and then this move came. It looked like it was going to go straight up only for another 10x on Pepe. It was setting up exactly like last year's move on Pepe. And then all of a sudden, you saw what happened. Then we get these moves. And that's where everybody got decimated. So that...
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise, motherfucker. This did look like that, and it looked like history was going to repeat itself, but, you know, Pompino came in, gave us a little trade war, and then we got absolutely annihilated here. Now, obviously, we're getting some buyback right now. We'll see how long that lasts. But that just shows you the type of confluence that you have in these cycles is they don't repeat themselves, but they definitely rhyme. And you can spot these patterns on assets from the past. I'm just trying to teach you guys how to look at these markets. You can spot these patterns, and these things, they don't play out the same way every single time. But when you catch these patterns, it's worthwhile taking a risk and betting on them playing out again, because it would make sense for it to do so. If we didn't get that trade war news and we didn't have these tariffs coming in, I bet you that shit would have played out just the same. Except now we just get this extra leg down here, and who knows? Like, it really might happen where we just start to go up only again, just like we did on Pepe last year, because everybody thought it was over down here. This on Pepe, look at this in context. It looked like Pepe was done. Pepe was all the way up in here, December of 23, and then did this. All the way down here. Down 50% more. More. Yeah, 50%. Right? Everybody thought it was over on Pepe. Everything thought it was nuked, annihilated. People who bought up here are in shambles. Their portfolios are fucking gone. Everything's fucked. Oh, it's over. Fuck this. Da da da. Meme coins are stupid. Blah 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 blah. Down 50%. Looks like it's over. The heroes bid down here. The heroes bought. The heroes accumulated. The heroes were ready to fucking rock. Then what happens right after this capitulation? Boom. Nuclear. Look at that. Look at that run. They thought it was over here before Pepe pulled this. Hilarious. Oh, that's backwards. Hold on. How do I flip this? Hold on. Let's see if I can flip it. Nope. So I'll just
redraw it.
Yeah, redraw it. Fuck it. Mr. Producer. Here we go.
I mean, we kind of got the, yeah, it's more like it.
12x. You see that? You see how it goes from it's so over, it's done on such a small, tiny time frame, and then you just zoom out, And right after we had that capitulation, 50% drawback on Pepe, we go for a 12x. Come on now. So that's just what's going to happen again here. Look, it's the same thing. Pepe draws down. Here's the high. It literally looks the same, right? It was all the way up here, wherever, over here. You draw down 50%. Right now, right here. We're down 62%. And what's going to happen? What are you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna say we we kind of got the same move off the FOMC meeting, but it was just in reverse.
In what
Whenever you
sense?
whenever you were showing it, instead of after putting in a slightly lower bottom compared to the FOMC bottom, it just spiked down instead of up.
Reverse.
Just
Oh, they played
yeah.
us. They said
The
last
inver-
time we yeah, the inverse pump, the dump. They call it the dump, the inverse pump.
yeah. It's the pump. Yeah, it's the square root of pump is dump.
Yep. Yeah, fuck yeah, exactly. All right, but yeah, so that's where we're at on Pepe. All right, so again, maybe we get a little bit more downside. Maybe we draw down a little bit further. We'll see. But I still expected to have this massive expansion just the same way that we had last year. The pattern is the same. It's just whenever you're locally at the bottom, yeah, it feels like it's fucking over. I get it. It does suck. For sure. Especially, here's the reality. Some people, they're a little bit late to the party whenever it comes to getting their positions, and they buy up here, and then all they see is this part. And then they sell down here because they think like, oh shit, I fucked up. I bought up here. My portfolio is down 60%. This sucks. I'm getting out. And then whoosh, they miss out on the 12x that they would have gotten from here where we were just looking at. Then they
I
miss
think
that.
the most important point that can be made with all of this is all of the price moves that we've seen from previous cycles that we're basing price targets off of for this cycle were coming off of the lows.
Yes.
So the price target or the move that we've been wanting to see on Pepe is a 10x. So the 10x move, that's what we've been talking about with Pepe for months now. And I'll be honest, whenever Pepe was, prematurely getting up super high, I mean, following the Coinbase listing, the market cap was at like 12 or 13 billion
Yep.
whenever it was topping out. And that was prior to true ETH season, which is usually, late January, early February through May of the year following the Bitcoin halving, which obviously that's the time frame we're just now getting into. And during this period of time, from like right now through May, we were wanting to see a 10x out of Pepe. And whenever Pepe was already prematurely getting up to like 12 or $13 billion market cap, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, it's definitely possible because I think that, people are definitely seeing Pepe as the winner this cycle. But whenever Pepe was already getting up to 12 or 13 billion, and now we need to see a 10x out of it to get our, expected result that we were looking for the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, well, we need Pepe to pull like 120 billion, $130 billion market cap to try and pull off this move. To get the 10 or 15 or 20x out of Brett that we were looking for, we were going to need to see it go to like 30, 40, 50 billion. Now, on Pepe, from where it's at right now, we need Pepe to pull the 10x that we've been looking for. We need to move to like 40 billion,
Yep.
which is Doge added that much market cap in 2 days before.
Yep. In 2 days.
That's, Pepe has already shown that it can get pretty much halfway to 40 billion. I think it topped out at like 13 billion. So it would have needed a 3x from the previous all-time highs without ETH ever breaking out of the range. It was able to do that. So I think that these price targets and these moves that we've been looking for are just so much more attainable now. Like for Brett to pull a 4 or a 10x from where it's at right now, we need Brett to go to like 4.5 billion. Whereas before we needed it to go to fucking 30 billion to get a 10x when it was at like 2.6, 2.7 billion. Same thing with Andy and Wolf. It's like for Andy and Wolf to pull a 10x from current levels, we need We need it to go to a billion, not even
Right. Right.
less than $1 billion to pull a 10x from where Andy and Wolf are right now. So I think that's the most important thing to remember is the parabolic moves that we've been wanting out of these coins that we were expecting to happen from February to May of this year are now so much more obtainable as long as you're taking advantage of these lows and you're actually accumulating, maybe give it a few days here, see what happens over this week that we're in right now, see if we snap back into the top part of the range on Bitcoin. ETH gets dragged up with it back up to like 3,000, 3,100. We get the buying signal. It's like, all right, let's load up. We're back. Or if Bitcoin just continues to get rejected off the mid range, ETH stays trading in this, lower range for the next couple weeks. Maybe give it a little bit of time if you want a little bit more certainty and clarity that we're ready to pump again. But yeah, these parabolic moves are so much more attainable. Like I remember whenever Andy and Wolf were back at Land Wolf was at 250, Andy was at 350. I'm like, holy fuck. I can't believe we had the chance a few months ago to buy Wolf at 15, 20 million, Andy at 50, 60 million. The opportunity is literally presenting itself again. Like you guys are getting the fucking Uno reverse card to be able to play your hand over again. And the fact that Bitcoin has held on this strong, I mean, it's fucking 99,000 again.
Yeah, we were celebrating the break of 100,000 just weeks ago, a month ago, and it's at basically 100,000 again. Like,
yeah. So it's like Bitcoin is giving all of us the conviction that we need to know that the cycle itself is not over. So that's all you need. It's especially when you're trading Boys Club, which is a levered ETH play. Like you can depend on the performance of a major to drag your coins up. They're not just going to get left out in the fucking water to drown on their own. They're going to get pulled up as long as Ethereum's performing well. They've proven time and time and time again, if ETH goes up or down, they're going to do the same shit, but more volatile.
Right.
So it's fucking pumping for 100K.
It's pumping right now. Oh, boys, we're pumping. Oh.
We're pumping for 100K. We might hit 100K on stream.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's like Bitcoin's giving you guys the conviction that the cycle's not over, which is all that you need to have the conviction to buy. Give it a few days here to see what ETH does, to see if it's the perfect time to buy. And yeah, you're literally getting a chance to replay the cycle. And this is the time that we expected it to happen. Like we expected shit to dump, maybe not this hard, beginning of February open.
We did expect it. I was saying it. I knew it was going to nuke. I just didn't know it was going to nuke like that. But I knew it was going to nuke.
Yeah, so we didn't know it was going to nuke like that, but we knew a nuke was going to come on the February open. And then we expect February to May to be the best performing time for Ethereum. And now the moves that we want out of these coins are so much more obtainable. Like, I hope you guys realize how big of a deal it is that for Pepe to pull a 10x like we want, it needing to go to 40 billion compared to 130 billion.
Big difference.
Is an insane difference. Andy needing to go to 60. 900 million.
Oh, yeah. Right now it's at 90, yeah.
Compared to it having to go to 3.8 billion. Massive difference. Now, if it goes to 3.8 billion, now you're pulling a, 30x?
30, 40x, yep.
Yeah, if Pepe hits 130, we're pulling a 30x on Pepe. It's like we need so much less movement out of these coins now to get the same performance that we were wanting. And I honestly, with how they were performing, I was wondering if those moves were going to be possible this, true alt season, which is starting right now. Now, I know they are.
Yeah, because it's already happened. We've seen it. That's to give some conviction to the people who are newer to holding these coins. Me and Logan were buying Andy and Wolf in August. Well, I mean, we've been buying the Boys Club since last year, Q1. But we were accumulating Andy and Wolf at 15 million market cap and 60 million market cap for Andy. We literally held them through 10, 15 X's on both of them. They fucking ripped to hundreds of millions of market cap. They came back down to higher prices than what they were in August. So reaccumulate, and they're gonna fucking rip face again. ETH just gotta cooperate. So we've seen the moves happen. For those who haven't seen them happen, you gotta have have confidence in the fact that we've held through them and seen them move like that to know that it'll happen again, because it will. I mean, as soon as Ethereum moves, it'll move. So Yeah. Buyers are stepping in, by the way. That's why I put those big ass fucking arrows there. You guys see those massive volume profiles come in on those two massive wicks. Of course, that's a lot of sell volume, but the wicks got sucked all the way back up into, you know, where the candles closed. Buyers stepped in and saved the structure. That's how you guys know that they're at the very least going to do their best to make sure that this structure does not break. You see the buyers stepping in with that huge buy volume. That should give you confidence that they're not going to let this thing topple over, because they know if Bitcoin topples over, it's cooked.
Can you put this on the 30-minute?
Sure.
I just want to see how many times we've been all right, so we've tapped it twice already.
Yeah, mid range.
Yeah. So I think you guys are going to see. I mean, the rest of today and tomorrow, we'll see what Bitcoin decides to do, and I think that's going to dictate everything. So if we see it break through 100K within the next 24 to 48 hours, and we can press back up to above February monthly open, would be huge.
Yep.
You know, if by the end of the day tomorrow, or if we're back up at like 102, 103, we're probably back.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think.
I agree. If we reclaim, I will concede at the February monthly open. If we reclaim this monthly open and turn this into support, then Bitcoin and all these coins did exactly what they do on the monthly opens, which is they set a massive bear trap. They reclaimed the monthly open. We don't have time today to show it, but I have so many examples of this happening. They'll set this massive bear trap from the February monthly open to kill. They'll kill all the bears, right? They'll get bearish down here. They'll start shorting. They'll reclaim the monthly open, and then we start to pump for the rest of the month. That happens. Hey, we're in business, baby. So yeah, once we get that back, we're good. All right, let me get these drawings out of here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all you get for today. Let me get these out of here. Do a little Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer. Screen capture. Where is my zoom? Hold on. Bumbleclut. Yeah. Here we go. What's up, Harry? Oh, I know what you're gonna hit him with. All right, I'll give you the green light here. All right, stream ending. Mr. Producer, hit him with it.
Good night.
Oh, he loves that shit.